You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook right now. The Oklahoma Sooners are considered 2.5-point favorites going into their matchup with South Carolina. Again, as we talked about, if it were a neutral site field, South Carolina would be a half-point favorite going into this game, which basically it's a coin flip game going into this week. And I can't tell you where to land on this. I would probably avoid it altogether. If you're looking at maybe placing a bet on either Oklahoma, South Carolina, or just this game in general, you might look at that over under, which is set at 40.5, which is super, super low. But given Oklahoma's offensive struggles, I can't say that's not a bad line, at least to take the under on. So go to FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. So the Oklahoma Sooners fall out of the USA Today coaches poll and the AP top 25. It's the first time they've been out of the AP top 25 since the end of the 2022 season. The Oklahoma Sooners in the coaches poll are the highest vote getter. So they're technically 26th in the nation in that one. It's deserved. You know, Oklahoma got the win over Auburn, but how good is Auburn? Probably not very good. And yeah, you're just not a good team right now. You've got a lot to prove as an offense. You've got a lot to prove as a program before the coaches or the AP voters will have trust in you again. Win against South Carolina would go a long way to restoring some faith in the Oklahoma Sooners football program. But I think even among Sooner fans right now, and you guys can tell me in the YouTube comments how you're feeling about it, but I think this is the lowest probably anybody's felt during the Brent Venables era. I mean, 49-0 sucked, but you could also look at that game and you're like, well, if Dylan Gabriel's playing in that game, you're probably not getting shut out and you're probably not getting beat 49-0. At the same time, I mean, you don't know the direction of your quarterback situation right now. At least in 2022, you had Dylan Gabriel coming back and you expected to have another year of Dylan Gabriel under your belt. So you felt like if I improve the defense, then with Dylan Gabriel and the offense, we should be fine. Because the offense was good in 2022, aside from that, Red River Showdown game. But right now, the direction of your quarterback situation, I mean, it's Michael Hawkins' team. Can he improve enough to give Oklahoma fans, AP poll voters optimism about the direction of the program? Because as much as I want to tell you that it's not all on the quarterback, that everything has to be better, the quarterback is the face of the program. It's the face that recruits look to, that transfers look to determine, hey, I want to go play with that guy. It does matter. And Michael Hawkins has a lot to show over the next, how many games? 6 games. Hopefully a bowl game in there as well. And he can either show that he's the guy for 2025, or Oklahoma is going to have to either go into the offseason in a quarterback competition with Hawkins and maybe Arnold, or they might have to go into the portal. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying that's going to be the thing, but over the next 6 games, it'll determine a lot about the future of the Oklahoma Sooners football program. It'll determine a lot about who the offensive coordinator is going to be in 2025. It'll determine a lot about who the quarterback's going to be. And it'll determine, I think, the level of trust that Oklahoma Sooner fans have in Brent Venables and the direction of the program moving forward. I think it's easy to sit here and say, let's get rid of everybody, just, clean house on the offensive staff. Nothing's working. It's all going terrible. But I don't necessarily think that serves you well right now. Let's look at Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, right? How often did they turn over the offensive coordinator, and how much did that affect Baker Mayfield? It affected him a lot. And so if you're hoping to develop your young quarterbacks to finish the 2024 season strong, keep some continuity somewhere, right? Keep continuity with your play caller. If you've got to just adjust your scheme a little bit or adjust your thought process, then by all means do that. If you got to give Kevin Johns a little bit more voice in the room, by all means do that. But changing the play caller right now, I don't think necessarily serves Michael Hawkins well. I don't think it serves the team well right now. I mean, maybe it could. Maybe you could have a Purdue-like situation where you move on from Graham Harrell and the offense suddenly has an explosion. I don't know. Maybe there's some disconnect between Seth Litrell and he's just not seeing what Michael Hawkins does well and attempting to do that. But yeah, all in all, I feel like having continuity is the thing that's best for your young quarterback. If he was a more experienced quarterback, if he had 3 years under his belt and it's just not working, we've seen production from him in the past and it's just not working, then I can understand an argument for changing the voice. But for right now, I want to just kind of ride this thing out and see where it goes, because I don't think it can get much worse. I don't think you're as bad as what you showed against Texas. Maybe you are, but I just think maybe that's a really good Texas defense that made you look that bad. But against South Carolina, maybe you can do a few more things. Again, it's a good South Carolina defense, but I don't know if it's as good as Texas. Maybe against Ole Miss, you can do some things. Again, a good Ole Miss defense, but the rest of the schedule, I mean, the defenses are good, but are they going to be as good as Texas's defense? I don't know. But with more snaps, more experience, more opportunities, more time with Seth Litrell as the play caller, perhaps it could create a developing Michael Hawkins. Perhaps it could allow for him to develop more. Whereas if you change the play caller this week and it doesn't work and it's actually worse, then where do you go? You don't really have any other option at that point. So better to have some continuity, stick with what you got. Maybe give a guy like Emmett Jones some voice in the offensive room, because good passing game coordinator at Texas Tech helped them have a lot of success through the air. Help him, or let him get involved. Let him speak to what Michael Hawkins and the wide receiver room do well in the passing game. And I don't know, just change some things up a little bit. I think everybody's kind of grasping at straws right now for how to fix Oklahoma's offense. But so much of it comes down to they got to find an efficient running game. They've got to find some efficient pass plays in the offense that can hopefully create some big plays in the passing game. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Locked On Sooners. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. And until next time, Boomer Sooner.